So one thing I notice a lot of people struggle with in Blender is developing more organic forms, especially in hard surface modeling. I'm going to show you a few tricks that'll really help you get those smoother, more natural looking forms while still having a hard surface mesh. So this involves the use of Lattice, and Lattice can be tricky, but it's actually really easy to use once you understand how to combine Geo with the Lattice. So I'm just going to do some very basic types of organic forms here and just kind of show you. So maybe we'll start with a cube here, the hardest of hard surface objects, I suppose. And we're just going to make it, you know what, this will probably be okay. Alright, so let's say I come in here and just kind of make a boolean cut, maybe like, I don't know, like this. I'm just kind of doing it sloppy and just getting something that works. And then maybe we'll extend this back piece a bit and put it to, let's go right to about here. Cool. And then maybe what we'll do is, let's extend this over just a bit more. Okay, cool. So we can actually make this thing look a lot more interesting and organic simply using a bit of lattice manipulation. So let me take these edges right here and bevel them as well. You don't have to do this. I'm just trying to make this thing look a bit more entertaining. And you know what, maybe we'll do a little chamfer here on the top. So we have this really basic hard surface looking object, and we'll just drop a bevel as well because I absolutely love bevels. And make sure hard and normals is turned on. Okay, cool. So if we go into hard ops, we're going to go to add modifier and then lattice, just because it's quicker, and in vanilla Blender you have to like manually scale it so it encapsulates that piece to a longer process. So I'm just going to use hard ops to do it for me. So I'm just going to increase the lattice resolution to about 2 on the Y. Now you want to be careful when you increase these lattices, because if you go, well, I'll show you in a second, but if you do too many, you can only manipulate very small portions of your mesh, and you'll see why in a second. So this one's pretty long, so maybe I'll give this like 2 segments on the Y-axis. And in this case, if I want to, you know, only manipulate down, up and down on the Z, then this Y is going to be constrained, or the movement's going to be constrained up to this edge right here. So check this out. I could actually take these 2 vertices on the lattice and just kind of move this down, but you're going to see it doesn't do much. It kind of moves down the entire thing. This is where you have to start manipulating the actual geometry on your base mesh. So check this out. The reason the entire thing is moving is because this is a very low poly model. There's no additional geo for the lattice to work with. All the lattice can work with is the geo over here and the geo around these bevels. So what we need to actually do in this case is increase the amount of geometry so that way there's more for Blender to manipulate. And the easiest possible way to do that, and I'll hide the lattice, is to simply come in here and maybe we'll just dice this a bit on the Y-axis and just kind of make this a bit higher resolution. Now it's going to start impeding a bit on the bevel back here, so what I think I'm just going to do is manually dissolve it out like that. We don't need to be too picky with how this looks. We just want to have a bit more geo for the lattice to work with, and maybe on here we'll make these roughly square like that. Anyways, now Blender is going to be able to manipulate a lot more geometry than we were able to do before, and that's precisely what we want. So in the lattice we can now try again, and you're going to see we can actually bend this a lot better because it has more geometry to manipulate. See that? And that's exactly what we want. So you could make really boring hard surface objects go into really natural organic shapes in just a few steps like I just showed you. So you can maybe move this down. It's super easy. We have an artifact right here. Let me just move that out of the way. Got to be careful of those artifacts. And then maybe what I could do is, you know, come over here on this and, you know, kind of bend this down. And this is how you can get those nice smooth organic shapes. Now, one issue, which I mentioned just a little bit ago, is if you go too high on the resolution, then you're barely going to be able to manipulate the, the main form. Now, if I have all these segments, I can only manipulate up to this part right here. So I have very limited control as compared to if I have only a few of these lattice segments. So you can use more lattice segments to manipulate the form as long as you're doing it with reason. Usually I keep the lattice very low poly so I can manipulate more areas of my base mesh. So you can just kind of come in here, you know, play with this. Maybe what I could do is drop an additional segment on the X and then kind of play with this area. We could scale this on the X a bit, kind of make it bend that way, and then maybe we could come in here and, you know, play with this area a bit. It's really cool. And then maybe we could even increase the Z by 1 and just kind of see how much more control that'll give us. Probably not too much, but you know, you can do all sorts of cool looking things and get the exact shape that that you want. So that's really all I wanted to show you here. A lot of people like getting these organic shapes, but oftentimes struggle doing that, when in reality it's not too difficult. You just have to kind of tweak the segments here and, you know, just have fun with it. So basically the important part is low resolution lattice and higher resolution model. Then you're going to be able to get these really nice organic shapes without having massive shading errors or weird deformations going on. So as long as you have ample geometry, you're set. That's all you have to do. So that's about it for this video. Quick one. Wanted to show you how you could maybe implement this into your workflow. It's really cool. So thanks a bunch, guys. And if you haven't joined yet, check out our Patreon. We have a lot of cool stuff on there. Coming in May, we have this awesome mech arm design coming out. We're going to show you the entire modeling process, rendering process, pretty much A to Z. So check that out if you're interested. We'll see you in the next video.